I started wearing chaps, which are basically like leg vests. My name is Matthew Kroll.
And I'm more of a Keaton guy myself. And I'm Stephen Buja.
And this is the only podcast about movies, specifically the film The Lego Movie 2, the second part. And you might notice, due to the intro being different yet again, Shahir Daud is still MIA. If you know where Shahir is, you better tell me, listeners at home. But taking his illustrious New Zealand place is my original cohort in film review, host of the Oscar Watch podcast. You can go and listen to all sorts of back episodes of that. And of course, the better half of our old outfit, same night movie review, Mr. Stephen Buja. Hello, Steve.
Hey, Matt, how's it going? We've been doing this off and on for like 13 years now.
13 glorious years.
When Same Night started. And we're still at it. We're still not making any money off of it.
No, that's not what we do.
Is this a hobby, or is this more of like just like a cast off of youth and our dreams that we refuse to let die?
No. Wow. Oh, we're getting. Well, I mean, that definitely plays into the theme of our film. I would say it is a passion. And I would also say that it is a form, podcasting for no profit, I think is both incredibly rewarding and also sort of a form of like, what's that? I'm trying to think of the proper term, but like, you know, when like a religious person in a cult will like whip their back with a thorny like leather strap.
Self-flagellation.
Thank you. It's that thing too. But I mean, listen, we get a lot of, especially, you know, our little tiny corner of the internet here on the only podcast about movies. We get so many nice emails and things that actually do really make the self-flagellation thing less and less. In fact, we're holding off on a couple emails because I want to wait till she hears back to sort of go through them because, you know, that sort of thing. So we'll be doing emails. You can email us in actually at onlymoviepodcast@gmail.com or get a hold of us on Twitter at onlymoviepod with your opinions about all of the things we'll be talking about today. But, yeah, Steve, I think I'm very happy that you and I decided to start doing sort of this sort of thing 13 years ago after we saw the film Ultraviolet, the Mila Jovovich vehicle that was so terrible.
So bad.
That we went home, got drunk, and just put a camera on me, and I screamed at it for about 4 minutes. And this was before, like, YouTube was going. We uploaded quick times like monsters.
It took forever to buffer. The quality was, because we didn't have smartphones. We just had like a regular shitty camera, like an HDV camera, which
it was before HDV, man. We were shooting on mini DV for that first thing.
HDV. Oh my god.
Yeah. So we, you know, if you're not enthralled, listeners, by us recounting how old we are, apologies. But this whole the film we'll be discussing today definitely, has, I would say, tones of varying ageist things regarding toys and growing up and toxic masculinity and the cis-star system and a bunch of other fun things.
It is a surprisingly relevant film, not only to the kids who were just into Legos, but to us, having grown up with all sorts of Legos and looking back on how we played and how we
growing up
with them.
Yeah, growing up also with a lot of toxic masculinity.
And realizing, oh man, our play styles are the best. And by best, I mean worst, of course. So, you know.
But before we even get into all of that, Steve, first of all, thank you again for coming and filling Shahir's shoes. Much appreciated.
You're welcome.
But sort of speaking of growing up and speaking of older opinions being brought into the forefront of current thinking. Some stuff's been happening in the news lately between one Mr. Steven Spielberg, a.k.a. Hollywood's golden boy, versus Netflix, Hollywood's worst nightmare. Have you read a little bit about this? How he basically was saying he doesn't want to have, I mean, he didn't say this in so many words, but he's basically like doesn't want another Roma winning a lot of awards because he thinks it's trite that he can release a film for a couple weeks in a theater and still get it into the Oscars. He's like, otherwise, it's a TV movie. And it should be at the Emmys, let's say. Um,
Ooh.
what do you think about that? I'm curious about your thoughts.
Well, it's interesting because what did Spielberg do if not break the current Hollywood system at the time of when it was really looking for a new thing, a new way? You had mid 70s, you had Jaws created the summer blockbuster. He's responsible for really the industry we have today. And it's also befitting that a contemporary of his, Martin Scorsese, is releasing The Irishman.
Yep.
That sold at Netflix, releasing it, it is totally fine with this. So it does feel like sour grapes. It feels like the old people telling the new kids to get off their lawn. But on another hand, I do kind of understand it. The theater going experience and how we have talked about the theater going experience a lot on this show. Yeah, its essence, it's still a very special thing, regardless of how you experience it, how what the conditions of your theater are like. And I can see him wanting to hold on to that, preserve that, because it's if anyone is the high priest of Hollywood, it's Steven Spielberg, and he wants people to get to church every Sunday. You know what I'm saying? But
Domino's.
But then we gotta understand that Netflix is not going anywhere, and to deny them a seat at the table is just going to worsen things down the line. So we should embrace it. I recently passed by my local theater. Roma was in fact playing. I was like, and it just opened this week again. I'm like, so it's still possible. I see both sides, but this is one of those. I don't get to the movies that much, and I really like watching Netflix at home, so I'm going to do that.
Here's the thing. I think it's a bit of a selfish. I've mentioned this before, but I think it's a bit of a selfish, like, ideological thing to not let films that have a home release be invited to film parties. Because no matter what, like, to be honest, if like ABC made a fantastic film, let's say, yeah, if ABC made Roma, it should still be at the Oscars, in my opinion. Now, films, the medium, obviously television and film have had a contentious relationship their entire existences. Once TV hit the scene. And we all know that theaters have been trying to get people back in seats, though I don't think very well. I think that we're in our very partisan universe these days, it's hard to look at either of these arguments objectively. I think it's 100% Steven Spielberg getting older and wanting to remain things the same way that he remembers them, that he sort of helped create, because of course we're going to rally to keep saying that we are relevant and our ideas are the right ideas. I hope as I get older I don't do that. I hope as I kind of like sort of ebb and flow, but I can't guarantee that.
Right.
I do think that it's tough because he definitely doesn't his theater going experience is not the general moviegoer's theater experience. Like, he can still go to specific theaters at specific times and have a very magical experience, where I would argue that more magical experiences are happening at home due to the way that theaters are run and the way theaters allow society to act in said theaters. Cell phones, talking, arguments, babies, whatever it is. Like, Spielberg doesn't deal with the common movie-going experience. So in that way, I think he's out of touch. At the same time, I don't want to just be like, yeah, Netflix, rally Netflix. Netflix is a corporation. Netflix is not the indie underdog here. Netflix is a behemoth that I enjoy, but it's one we should still be careful where it stomps. It did a nice clapback tweet being like, we love film, but we just don't think we should limit da-da-da-da. And then people were like, Netflix, you have like only 72 films released before 1991 on your service. Like, now, granted, Netflix has never said it is a cultivator of classic film, but at the same time, Netflix is, it's not an indie darling. It's not the underdog, even though it is kind of in this particular situation. It's a more powerful entity, I would argue, weirdly, than Spielberg is at this point.
Yeah.
And so I think it's just important to sort of look at it from both of those sides. I personally fall on the side of, like I sort of said, if I'm going to choke on these words, but if Snapchat released a film that was excellent, which I don't think actually could happen due to the format, but if it did, and it was moving and excellent, and I had an engrossing emotional experience, yeah, invite it to the Oscars, because that's what a film's supposed to do.
Was that the Emoji Movie?
No, that wasn't the Emoji
I
Movie.
I don't know Snapchat.
It's garbage, but it's not garbage. It's not my cup of tea, as Spike Lee would put it, quoting Green Book. But yeah. Anyway, I just wanted to get your take on that and sort of chat about it a little bit, because
I think ultimately we win as consumers because we get Spielberg making his movies, and we get the Netflix experience at home. Drives a little competition.
Yes,
creates people to think and do things differently. And we can. Right now, we live in a time where we have both, and neither one is champion. One is on the rise, one's falling. Who knows if that will always be the case? Maybe when they destroy the internet, we have to go back to theaters and watch things on film. And I don't know. Saying these things ebb and flow. And right now, we enjoy the good times. Golden age of television, blah, blah, blah. TV is making cinematic-like things, so embrace it. Watch things. Watch media. Just do it all. Wherever you can. If you can get to the movies, I'm going to the movies tonight. I'm so excited.
What are you seeing?
Alita, Battle Angel.
Oh, okay. I have not seen that yet. And it's funny because a lot of people... It got real railroaded underneath just sort of the name and the way it sort of looked and seemed, and a lot of people both overseas and actually America. I think actually Shahir has seen it. I don't know his thoughts, but have been sort of like coming back and be like, actually, this movie is pretty good from what I hear.
Yes.
But
I'll be able to tell you tomorrow.
Perfect.
Yay.
But speaking of growing up, the Lego Movie 2.
Yes.
I'm going to read real quick the IMDb movie description because I'd like to get that out of the way, because this one I don't think hits at home what this film is actually about at all. Here we go. It's been 5 years since everything was awesome, and the citizens are facing a huge new threat. Lego Duplo invaders from outer space, wrecking everything faster than they can rebuild. Yes, that is the first 20 minutes of the film.
That really doesn't capture the essence of the movie. And to speak about the movie, I think we first have to talk a lot about this is a movie that you definitely need to have seen the first movie, I think, to really fully understand. And just by the way, Matt, you and I saw that movie, and it was excellent. Yes. I love that experience.
Yeah, no,
down by your old place.
It was that movie came out of nowhere in the sense of like, I credit that honestly a lot to Phil Lord and Christopher Miller, right?
Yes.
Because they seem to be the quintessential wunderkind for taking a cynical, money-grabbing property and turning it into an actual worthwhile emotional experience. They do both. And it's almost like this level of dark wizardry that we shouldn't be comfortable with, but I'd almost rather that than like a naked cash grab. Like, Lego Movie was going to happen no matter what. It's amazing that it, are you raising your hand right now?
I'm raising my hand. So, not to derail, would you say they should have stayed on the Solo movie?
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Speaking of naked cash grabs,
the Solo movie. I mean, look, I have issues with the Solo movie, but I think it's like fine. And even I think you can go back and listen to our episode on Solo. It was. I am a fan of Solo due to the raw producerial and directorial power that Ron Howard had to implement in order to just make a finished movie, because they took the puzzle piecing of reshoots and trying to do it in a certain financially hopefully responsible way is maddeningly talented. And for that, while I do think I would have rather seen Lord and Miller's version, because I bet you it was way more interesting. I won't even say better, more interesting, because Solo is a lot of things. It's not interesting.
No, it's not. But but Lord and Miller, they excel with, say, 21 Jump Street, 22 Jump Street, Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, of taking this this basic sort of non-interesting whatever story and paring it down to its genre elements and commenting on the genre itself, commenting on the cop genre, commenting on Lego cash grabs and growing up and the superhero origin story and all of that, and making it, they find a way to make it interesting by inserting, like, basically being an English major about it and being like, all right, here's what we're talking about when we talk about this particular thing. And I love them for that. I've loved them since watching with you their excellent animated show Clone High.
Yeah, I was just going to bring up Clone High,
which is still has one of my favorite words. If there's one thing Mahatma Gandhi believes in, it's vengeance. One of my favorite quotes. It's a brilliant show that you should definitely check out.
I do love me some Clone High. They did such phenomenal work. I mean, let's not forget too, they were producers on Into the Spider-Verse. Like they are, they,
which is another thing that takes the elements of Spider-Man and like dissects them and presents them in a new and interesting way, in a way that makes you think about it.
And to have them do something about Legos in the first film, the 2004 the Lego movie, which is literally about putting the pieces together and taking them apart in new and interesting ways. That seemed like such a perfect magical fit, and I had such an amazing time, going and seeing that film and being so surprised and loving the sight gags and the puns and like all of the stuff that's like felt not only very true to the quote Lego brand, but also just a sort of a non-practiced irreverence, which is very difficult to cultivate. And have believable, especially in a cash grabby type movie such as the Lego movie was probably pitched as. So kudos to the first Lego movie, straight up.
Right.
I'll sort of get into, I guess, my sort of first thoughts about the Lego movie too. I thought overall, while the first film was magical, this one was fine. This felt like a very talented performer doing a famous person's stand-up act, like verbatim. And like, yeah, they're saying all of the things, but it doesn't hit or have the emotional resonance or the hilarious pacing or whatever. I don't know what we want to call it, as the first movie did. This film being directed by Mike Mitchell.
Who did the surprisingly excellent Trolls movie. It's fun, and also Sky High, by the way, which is a great little superhero movie.
He also did, I think, Shrek 3D,
Shrek Forever After, the fourth one. So he has some questionable credits there, but
let's see. I'm just sort of going through his filmography. Yep, Trolls, great. Penguins of Madagascar. Oh, he was a voice. Interesting. This is
he does that too.
Yeah. Which, hey, I love me some voice actors.
Yeah. But so would you say I would say, to harp on your point, to glom onto it, the first movie was a kid with a bunch of Legos building something amazing. And this one is the kid had written down instructions on how to build that thing, and you can follow those instructions, but it lacks the wonder and the magic of seeing this child build something new and amazing, because now it's just his friends or her friends, as the case may be, trying to replicate that. And you get a lot of great moments. There's still a lot to unpack here. There are some great themes. The introduction of now sibling rivalry, sort of the wacky, we don't give a fuck about time travel mechanics it's kind of fun. But it's all you're playing jazz off of a really famous piece of music, and you can hear the notes, but a lot of it's not quite working. You'd rather hear the original. I still really enjoyed this film. I really did, but it definitely exists because there was a predecessor and can't stand on its own two legs as well.
Sure.
So
I think I agree with a lot of that. I think this feels like, I don't know. It's hard for me to not be cynical about this thing. First of all, let me say I too enjoyed watching the film. I think if you liked the first Lego movie, especially, as just sort of a fun, not really thinking about it experience, you will 100% enjoy this movie as just that. And in this movie too, we'll get into sort of like the messaging of it, what the ideas it's trying to sell its audience and who that audience is, and blah blah blah. That's all great. However, I will not think about this film after we finish this podcast. In fact, when prepping for this podcast, I watched this film yesterday, and I was just sort of like putting off writing about it. And I was like, oh, okay, whatever. And then like I had to like sit myself down and be like, okay, think about the second Lego movie now. And I did, because that's what I do for
professional
quote, air quotes, a living. But the first one I actively had playing in my mind the concepts and the magic that it pulled off. And this one, it was interesting. This one, I had it kind of in the beginning. Like I loved, and we'll sort of get into sort of light spoilers as we go through here, but like the beginning it's like this Mad Max, it's like Apocalypseburg or whatever. Sort of citizen, because the Duplo from the Sistar system came down and keep taking all the cool pieces, which isn't really sort of described, I think, terribly well. But like I was into it. Like the aesthetic was cool, the jokes about it were cool, whatever. And then the second they sort of took off into space through the Stairgate and like all that jazz, that's when I sort of started seeing through. I started seeing the theme that they were going for, but it did not feel to me as genuine as the theme of the first film.
Yeah.
The theme of the first film, I would say, is sort of not only like a little bit of growing up, but also that like nothing is permanent and that is a good thing. Like, right?
Right.
This one, this feels weird, and I don't want it to come off as insulting to the filmmakers or the people that were involved in this film. And maybe I'll walk back from it as we discuss. But this felt like a what's hot in the public zeitgeist these days. Oh, let's do a story about that because that's what's resonating currently. Not because nothing about it felt like they needed to let people know this particular aspect of toxic growing up sort of male-ish culture. It didn't. I never got like the onus or the beginning of that thought never struck me. It felt calculated. It felt like kind of like what you said, like, here's the instructions, someone else go do it. And I can only, in my limited scope of how these films are made, I can only sort of, put that to the directorial style differences, because Phil Lord and Chris Miller still wrote this movie along with a couple other people, I think. So like there's your instructions, right?
Right.
And there's a fine knife's edge you have to sort of balance on when doing commentary like this to not feel cookie cutter and sort of like everyone else is like this, let's do this too. And it doesn't poison the message it's trying to do, but it definitely makes it, at least for me, less effective. So it was hard for me to sort of like get away from that. And because of that, it didn't let me, I was pulled back into the fun of it a lot. But like, oh God, the first one, again, I keep, praising it, like washed over me with not only what it was trying to say, but the joy in which it was saying it with. And this one was more like, it almost felt like you were you weren't like fighting the current. You were just like with it and enjoying it. This felt like I'm enjoying myself. Wave. What the shit? Oh, okay. Wave. Okay. What? Okay. Kind of okay musical number. Wave. And I'm just like
stop.
Even and this is my last thing for a minute, but like even like the reprise of Everything Is Awesome and sort of like leaning into that and like changing it. Even though it was sort of a comment like the other song of this song's gonna get stuck in your head. You know what didn't happen? That song didn't get stuck in my head.
Ew.
And that's like when the punchline of your joke is supposed to be something that is taken away with you after the fact, and it tells you that that's what the punchline's supposed to be, and it doesn't. Yeah.
It's not the best joke, and it's not the best song either. Let's see. On that, lot to
Yeah, sorry, and I don't want to. This is a movie about Legos. I don't want to like.
No, but it's trying to be so much. What happens? You're right. The Apocalypseburg stuff is great, but what happens is because there is the dual and dual DUAL and DUEL narrative here of we have our Lego characters who are representative of this one human boy. His name is Finn. He's the character who like was basically. He was the man upstairs. He was like the hand that moved things in the first movie, thereabouts. But now we have the sister, and I like the idea of the sister coming in and screwing up because I did not have a sister. I had a little brother, and he was.
It's the same thing, though. It's the same thing.
But yeah, it's the same thing. But with the sister, you can highlight the differences in approaches and like what the sister is going through as a tweenager, I think would be the word, and it's all puffy and fun and sparkles and glitter and rainbows and all that stuff. And the boy's like, yeah, this is Mad Max.
I mean, he's getting to the age of edgelording. We've all been there.
Oh yeah. To all of our embarrassment, we've definitely been edgelording. But he's also super creative, so he's built this thing. And when it's, I think. I bounce back and forth between which of these stories I like more. Is it just the Lego story? And when I see the Lego story, I'm trying not to think about the kid story because a lot of it doesn't gel. But sometimes when you see the kid story, you go, "Oh, I'm on board here because like you're showing me what's actually happening," and I like that. But what made the first movie, and we're always going to come back to the first movie, is that it did it so much better. It was a hint. It was a surprise. It was to me, one of the greatest third act twists in a movie, certainly in a kids movie in a long, long time. And here, having that already established means that okay, we can go here, but it's also harder to tell this particular story, and I think they get lost in the storytelling aspect of itself by trying to juggle. Like we have the kids, we have the kids, we have the Duplos, we have the Legos, we have this time travel, we have all this strange stuff, and it started like the first film. You could forgive the Toy Story-ishness of it, of Emmett finding himself and actually moving himself. Even though he's not quote unquote real, but he is real. And here it starts to become more of a drawback to the film and how they tell it. And they, to the film's credit, they even comment that not a lot of this makes sense, but that just because you're commenting on it, maybe you should just go, maybe we should just make sense instead of saying we don't make any sense, but we don't care anyways.
Yeah.
And so it will always be less. And because it's not as impactful or deep, they go for more. It's the classic sequel. Like, we don't know how to improve upon it, so we're just going to throw more shit at you. We're going to throw more places, more Lego sets, more musical numbers. So many musical numbers in this that it becomes a little overwhelming. When what made the first movie work so well is the restraint it had. In all things, but it also knew when to let go, and that we get some brilliant moments. But here it felt I was a little bit exhausted and felt like I needed to take some sugar out of my system. It's like I just had too much, and I'm going into shock.
Well, one thing I'm going to switch to a more positive note on sort of my end. I mean, the voice cast obviously here is phenomenal. I think the superstar here that sort of I was always enjoying the most was Tiffany Haddish as Queen Whatever a Wannabe. Wannabe. Yeah, Whatever Wannabe. Like,
whatever,
which is a great name and a great character. And I love we don't even have to we'll get into the spoilers. It's spoiler time. It's full on blown spoiler time because we can't talk about the whole thing without talking about the whole thing.
No, definitely not.
who is posited as sort of the villain, who is totally basically trying to be super open that they are not the villain, and of course everyone thinks
they're not
they are
evil.
the villain. And what I really liked, I didn't like the musical number that sort of happened with, but I did like the messaging of it, and I liked that in the end they weren't the villain. I like that because that's the way a younger sibling would actually present themselves while trying to tell someone that they are not the villain. Like
bad guy.
That felt very true to life to me. Like they would sing a song about how much they are not the bad guy. And like cynical us are like, yeah, you are. But
totally something the bad guy would say.
Yeah, so that was really fun. Also, the minor stuff. Charlie Day obviously is the space Lego guy. Nick Offerman is Metal Beard. Allison Brie as Unikitty is the unsung.
She has a line in there, and I want to buy this GIF when she's trying to get angry, and Wildstyle tells her to think about people who put raisins in things, because I am a firm believer you do not put raisins in almost anything. Certainly not in any baked bread products. I'm like, yeah, that moment was, to quote the kids, my life. Right there. Hashtag please.
That's so funny. Yeah, there's a lot of great stuff.
Yeah, there are a lot of great little moments that don't quite come together as a whole, unfortunately. But Chris Pratt leaning into his Chris Prattness, and it's a commentary on his whole career. Like, it's like he's got chiseled features that were, once covered under baby fat, and he's a dinosaur spaceman, whatever character.
Yeah. So let's talk about Chris Pratt for a minute. I am a huge Chris Pratt fan. I like that he's sort of playing off of, like, okay, now let me rephrase. I like the concept that they do between Emmett and Rex Dangervest. I like the idea of it. Something, and it might just be, again, sort of the directing or how it's, I don't know what it is, felt not earnest in its sort of takedown of the, like, super bro-y cool dude. Like, something felt weird. Almost like Rex Dangervest was still super likable or enjoyable till the end, and when you do a turn like that, like, you get that what he's saying is like bad. It's not the same as like enjoying the Joker, Heath Ledger's Joker, right? Like, he's evil, but you're like, oh my god, like you're taken by it, and you sort of ride that wave. Right. This is like, he's still making bro jokes that are written to be funny, and therefore you are not. The bro jokes aren't undercutting him; they are just funny in a weird way. I don't know if that's entirely all the time true, because I'd have to like go through all the bro-y jokes, but like, I don't know. Like, I love on the surface level, I love the Raptors flying the bro fist spaceship. Like, it's so on point and funny, but it does lose a little bit of its power because it's literally Chris Pratt who plays that character and gets paid to play that, which obviously the character whose name I can't remember in Jurassic World isn't as bro down as Rex Dangervest. It's a parody of it. Yeah. But like, there's something weird with that. It doesn't feel all the way earnest in an odd way.
With his turn at the end, because we learned that whatever wannabe, whatever when not.
I can't say it.
I can't do
whatever
it. I'm sorry.
Wannabe. It's like whatever you want to be is really what they're trying.
Yeah,
to
whatever
say.
you want to be. All right. When we discovered the Duplo aren't the bad guys, it felt like the writers, they were writing and thought, shit. So, okay, we wrote ourselves into a corner. Who should the bad guy be? Oh, it should be Rex Dangervest. And we'll come up with this elaborate and excruciatingly detailed, but also eye-rolling backstory for him, and just go from there. And we'll make it. It didn't feel like a genuine enough twist, like having Will Ferrell show up at the end, last act of the first movie did. It felt forced, and like now we are commenting on something, and here's what we're doing. We're gonna ram that brofish ship right down your throat.
You know what it might be? I mean, this movie probably went through a bunch of rewrites, as all movies do.
Yeah.
They probably, maybe it plays, and this is me completely assuming, making an ass out of me and me, that maybe they did want to sort of go with something that was in the current zeitgeist, but the movie was already sort of either on the way written or like written. Like, I could totally see this film ending with just realizing that no one is the bad guy and everyone is still like, you know what I mean? Like that
Right.
there's no like twist or whatever.
It
like,
didn't need a villain.
The villain could have literally been the misunderstanding or the tension between the siblings, and then once they're over it, like it's done. Like,
or like rebuilding efforts. Having him, it's like remember the movie Sunshine?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, we spend 100 minutes in like very real life scientific space movie, and then the fucking the son Jason Voorhees shows up and starts murdering people, and you're like, do we need this in the movie? Like we're shooting a spaceship into the sun. Like,
yeah.
I don't think we need a monster. I get what you're doing, but it's too little too late at this point. And it felt like now we're dealing with like the boy was dealing with something he wasn't even aware of yet, which didn't feel right. Felt like we were losing the narrative between him and his sister a whole lot.
You know what's interesting? You just brought up, and it kind of brought me to this point. And you said sort of how it was a little bit of a disconnect between like the way the world worked. And there's two worlds here, but both of the ways that the worlds worked are never sort of clear. Whereas in the first movie, it is clear because of the twist, and everything sort of makes sense. And then you can buy into the fact like, oh, they're moving because they're being played with, like whatever. Here, the world changes. Like, the rules change quite a bit. For instance, all of a sudden, like, both Rex Dangervest as him and also Emmett as him, both when they're under the dryer, in the dryer system, whatever it was.
Right.
What's it called? The way that they are able to move themselves never made actual sense in the world that they had set up in previous films. Now, when there were Legos built under, when Wildstyle gets down there or whatever, when there's Legos sort of built under the dryer, that to me would signals that, oh, there's some play going on here. Like, whenever there were Legos around them, that's when I was like, kids are playing with this. That's the rule that they sort of,
right,
inceptioned in my brain. But when it was just like, him getting up by himself and like going over and doing things, I was like, that doesn't make sense in the world that you're doing. And to your point again about the kids' story, you don't really, because they're not main characters, you don't get the catharsis of the boy learning his learning the wrongness that he sort of treated his sister as you do. I remember the first time I saw that in the first movie when the father and son dynamic changes, and you see Will Ferrell, even though it's very quickly, go through a moment of change. I never saw the boy go through the moment of change. I saw two sad kids that eventually like saw each other, were sad, and were like, oh, well, maybe like, okay, like it didn't have the rest of the movie is very cinematic, and that just sort of was like, and these people have to be friends again, so cool.
Right.
So again, it's more of the minutia that was missing for me.
Yeah. There's that false ending when they get tossed away, and Wildstar says like, war never changes, and then it just cuts to the end, and there was a part of me that thought, yeah, that would be amazing if you just ended it right now. But of course, they have to go through the whole redemption arc and have to stop Rex, which just because the characters aren't, because Emmett and Wildstyle, they're ciphers, they're avatars for the kids, and now they're fighting amongst themselves. And I get that they do have a limited amount of agency, as we saw in the first film. In the first film, I believed it, and I thought, yes, okay, that makes sense. Here, like we say, under the dryer system, it strains credulity.
Yeah. Well,
That it's I just go, all right, this is, like, I hate to use this term when talking about a Lego movie. It's like kind of masturbatory. Just like, yeah, we're
Sure.
just showing off now.
Well, and it's funny. I go back to a little bit like Wizard of Oz-ish, right? Like, so pay no attention to the man behind the curtain, then you find out the wizard is just this old dude, right?
Right.
Then imagine just having a movie, your second movie, being about how the old dude is just as cool and magical as the first adventure that the characters went on before they realized that it was just some old dude in control of everything. Like, I know there's been sequels to the Oz films, and it didn't go in that direction, but it felt like trying to do an amazing subversive thing based on something that is no longer subversive.
Yeah.
And again, we are poo-pooing on this movie fairly hard. Let's look at this. Let's switch gears for a second. Let's look at this from let's try anyway, because we're both men in our 30s. Let's try to think of this as a kid seeing this film, because the first Lego movie, maybe why it resonated so highly with us, was definitely kids. Like, it was, again, another genius move by the directors and the writers. It was marketed towards kids, of course, but it also did the thing that great kids movies do and had a message for the adults as well. And weirdly, the catharsis moment is actually a very adult one in the first film. Like,
Yes.
Will Ferrell is the main character in that end moment, not the son, in my opinion. Like, the way they show it is that. This movie, the second part, the kids are most definitely the main characters and the people we are seeing from the perspective of, even though, I love that we don't see Will Ferrell, and I love Maya Rudolph and everything that she ever does. So it was great to see her, even with the forced yet funny, because she can pull it off, stepping on the Lego bricks joke. I'm wondering if this film has more of a young person dealing with siblings message that I, or maybe we, aren't sort of picking up on. And actually, listeners, if you have an opinion on this, please email us at onlymoviepodcast@gmail.com or add us at onlymoviepod on Twitter, because I'd love your thoughts as well, especially if you have kids these ages. Or, I don't know, if you're listening to this as a kid that age, we have a lot of strong language, and why are your parents letting you listen to a movie podcast about this? That'd be very odd. But if it does exist, you can tell us your opinions as well. So what do you think, Steve? Do you think that the message of not only civility, but not being so dour and edgelordy that you push sort of people that are just trying to be with you away? Like, do you think that is sold well enough in the message for children?
It is sold well. Yes. It is sold well. It's obvious there, but because of all of the rah-rah and the razzle-dazzle that's happening, I don't know if kids will pick up on that as much. And granted, kids do not have to pick up on all of these things. We're just doing it because we're film majors and we like breaking down stuff. The kids can go in and just see this movie and see all of the crazy, fun, glittery, sparkly mayhem that is the Lego Movie 2, the second part, and have a blast. And they can, I like to think that maybe a brother and sister went and they came out and felt, even if they couldn't quite put into words, this feeling that maybe we should play together. You can bring your Duplo blocks, I'll bring my Legos, and we'll have a good time. For the kids, I don't think it's that important. For us, wanting to to take away things from films, like a commentary, a morality, a story of some sort, something we can hold on to and discuss later. It's more important for us. And it's mostly successful. It just feels a bit more forced than the original. Everything changes and that's okay. Through line from the first film. But I think kids will. I think some kids will appreciate it. Most kids will just want to buy all the cool stuff because there's a lot of cool stuff happening on there. So,
I mean, you have a young child, Steve. I know that they're not quite at Lego age yet, but do you think that, wait, first of all, do we even know if there must be Lego movie Lego sets, right? Like there must
oh
be.
yeah. I believe you can buy the spaceship from the original
Cool.
Lego movie. It's actually called that. It's not just the Lego.
I wonder if you can buy the Brofist.
I would kind of want to buy the Brofist.
That
but
was
at the
a good
same
ship.
yeah, but at the same time, does buying the Brofist from the Lego movie, or especially in the original, like buying the stuff from the original movie, aren't you defeating the purpose of the original movie, which is about originality, which is crazy in a movie that's basically a walking ad for Legos, and my mind is blowing up right now trying to peel back all the layers of the Lego movie onion. Lego onion, by the way, not something they have yet. I don't know, maybe.
There's a Lego banana.
There's Lego banana. Oh, yes, there's a Lego banana. I like the Lego banana.
I'm looking at the Lego sets here, and they are impressive as fuck. Yeah. They have Welcome to Apocalypseburg, which is the Statue of Liberty leaning over sort of set. They have the Rex's Rexplorer, which is sort of like his little ship. They have the pop-up party bus. They have Emmett's house. They have Sweet Mayhem's Sistar Starship. They have a couple of the I loved when they're like, was it singing or were they just commenting like, we have unique vehicles, like, or that was really funny. They have Queen Whatevera's Build Whatever box, which is fun. They have a bunch of Duplos. They have Batman sort of stuff. They have like a lot of like smaller sets. I want to see what they're like. I think Apocalypseburg is probably their biggest one.
Probably. That's an impressive set. Like kudos to the Finn, the kid, for making that. That's
yeah. I think
a lot.
It's so funny because like look, and this is something that I think is very interesting about Lego. This is a bit of a tangent. I spend a lot of time in front of a screen, both for work at Extra Credits and as leisure, doing the podcasts and gaming and watching films and television. That's my jam. I am not an outdoor kid, though I do love me some skiing and some hiking and stuff when the weather is permitting. I was really hankering one day for a activity that I could do inside, like that, like I would be like something I wouldn't have to go somewhere to do, but like also that did not involve a screen. Like, I read books and I do that sort of thing, but I'm like, is there something I can do with my hands that is not something I need to be incredibly skilled at and is something I could do in an afternoon? You know what works and got my brain like calm and zen as fuck is I bought and made the Lego Bastion from Overwatch thing.
Steve, you got that? Let me see that.
I'll show you right here. Obviously, listeners.
I love Bastion.
If you go to my Instagram, if you go to Skeletor, the number 4 PREZ on Instagram, I have a time lapse of me building it, and Zoe, my cat, is all over that shit. And like, it just was,
so cool.
It was just like in the little lights up.
Oh, he lights up. Oh,
and he transforms into the turret, and like, it was so nice. Just taking 3 hours or so and leisurely doing something with my hands and following instructions and whatever. So there's something cathartic, even as an adult, to putting together Legos. Also, shout out to our friend Thomas Ham, who used to be a Lego master with buying and selling pieces. And also shout out to Nick Parker, who literally buys the most impressive sets and then like he's one of my buddies and who lives up in Harlem, and he like hangs them on his like ceiling. Like he has a bunch of Star Wars ships and shit. And I'm just like, living that that not so adult dream.
Right. I remember that. But I remember back in the day, we had to build our own fucking X-wings. We didn't have
All
the
right.
shape. We needed a little. I'm just
Listen,
the
Spielberg.
Kids these days are so
Listen,
spoiled.
old Hollywood guard. Just calm your shit. I liked that there was just instructions. So Lego as a property, obviously, I mean, I was gonna say it can survive this. It's 100% thriving in this. It's even if we don't think of it as the most earnest depiction like the first one was, it's 100%. It's beyond serviceable. Like, it's a good, fun movie.
It absolutely is. It's a great time.
This is sort of my last point, and I was waiting till the end for this. I wonder if I'm a little bit sour on it, because another film came out very recently that tackled this sort of exact same issue, or part of the same issue, but did it with grace and humor and something that I actually did think about many, many days after I saw the film. And that film is Wreck-It Ralph 2, Ralph Breaks the Internet. It's similar tone, right? Like, it's not quite as madcap as the Lego movie, I would say, but it gets close. And the way I know that movie is examining different aspects of interpersonal relationships. It's basically toxic masculinity, but through sort of a friendship vibe as opposed to a family vibe.
And neediness and
neediness
and, like
and linked. You know, that one actually had a better thematic glue to me too, because it linked all of the sort of toxic internet culture that is linked with the stuff that it was talking about in a film about the internet. This movie, Lego 2, did link sort of the problems that can arise when being forced to work or play together with people that you might not always want to do. That does it too. But like, I feel like the thematic tie of Ralph Breaks the Internet is done much more tightly and much more effectively. Obviously for me as a film goer, but also I feel like for kids watching it as well. And I think that's sort of done because it was built from the ground up to not only be the continuation of a story about these characters that we like, but also it felt like it really had something to say. And that was through, I know both of these movies are saying something, but I think through the minutia of Wreck-It Ralph 2 and the original Lego movie, kind of, like, they had something they were really dying to say about a thing. And Lego Movie 2 feels like we're going to say something because people want us to say something.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And that's, look, I guess that's sort of my final thought, is that's on me. That's my read of it. I never would want to take away or try to, like, strip away any meaning that other people found in it. Maybe I missed things. Maybe it's not made for me. That's why I kind of posed the question about kids, like what we think kids would react to this film, because it is my true hope that, like, kids would do exactly what you said, like leave the theater and be like, I don't want to be combative with my sibling anymore. I'd like to play with, like, that's what you hope when you have a message like this. That seed happens, and then that could help sort of further the bettering of the, quote, discourse as people get older and try to, wade through the mire that is human existence at this point. So, yeah, final thought for me is Lego Movie 2, the second part, fun, has some meaningful things to say, but I don't know if the earnestness of the first one is all there, and that kind of poisons the well a little bit for me. What about you, Steve? Take us home with these thoughts.
I think to bring it back to Wreck-It Ralph 2, I loved Wreck-It Ralph 2. It's a more focused theme of what it is trying to say, and it does have a few little subplots about, like, the internet and, like, internet culture, and I like that. Largely, you know what the thing that comes back to is that Wreck-It Ralph, despite having at one point, spoiler alert, like 1 billion Ralphs running around, feels more restrained. And it feels more restrained in that it had the one song that was amazing.
Yeah.
Whereas I love the Slaughter Race song. It's just fantastic. I wish it was nominated for an Oscar because I wanted somebody to perform it so badly.
Yeah.
Here in the Lego Movie 2, there are 4 or 5 songs or something. It's too much, and that's representative of the entire movie. It's doing too much because it thinks that bigger is better. First film had Everything is Awesome, and that is an amazing song. This time, my favorite song was the credits song. It was the song where you had the Lonely Island guys back singing about the people in the credits, which felt like it belongs in the first movie. Like that felt like a genuine, quote unquote, Lego movie moment, if we can establish that at this time. And I feel like I've spent the entire time like kind of shitting on the themes of this film and just wanting it to be more. There's a lot of fun here. I had an individual good time. They're bite-sized pieces of good times. You walk up and you go, "Oh, I'm gonna eat all this." I'm like, "Oh, a Hershey's Kiss. That's good. I'm having another Hershey's Kiss." They're not that much. But then you eat too many Hershey's Kisses. You're like, "Oh, I had too many Hershey Kisses. I ain't feeling so well right now." And that's it. But you don't feel full. You feel kind of exhausted after it because it's throwing so much at you. It's this narrative, that narrative, this subplot, this theme, this weird thing that goes back around that doesn't make any sense with this particular world, and that it gets it's trying to be, it is a smart movie, but it's trying to show you that it's a very smart movie, and it stumbles in the execution of it. The first film was an excellent example of how you make a movie and how you tell and comment on a story. This is like a B minus version of the lecture that the first movie was based on.
Yeah.
And I had fun. The voice acting is great. Will Arnett, I think, is one of my favorite Batmans.
Lego Batman movie is legit, easily either my first or second favorite Batman.
Absolutely, it's amazing.
There's an example too of like how you do a Lego film that has a heartfelt meaning, and it's a blatant cash grab, and yet it's to me the second best Batman movie out there. So there's so much to like. If you like Chris Pratt, it's him making fun of himself is always great. So there's so much to enjoy here. I would say yes, I recommend going to see this movie. Pick it up on the video. Go down to the store on the VOD.
Yeah. But when we said let's talk about the Lego Movie 2, I'd seen it so long ago. I thought, I am going to need to remember just what I saw. I was reading reviews, trying to piece together everything. And we could stop right now, talk about the first Lego movie, and I would be like, all right, yep, I'm ready to go. I know everything I need to know about that movie.
It was so interesting because I was like, oh, maybe I should rewatch the first one again to sort of get ready. And then I was like, I remember the first one. So yeah, no, I 100% agree. Also, last thing before we go, there were in the credits they had all the Lego brick type people, not the minifigs, but the brick people like holding hands as it was like rotating through. A couple odd picks in that one had a Trump and Hillary. You could see it was blatantly both of them holding hands. Cool. The other one was Michael Jackson and his monkey.
Oh, awkward now.
Yeah.
Awkward.
I'll leave everyone with that. There was a couple where I was like, really? You just, okay. Like, cool. Anyway.
It takes a while for these things to get animated.
100%. Render time must be a bitch. This has been the only podcast about the film The Lego Movie 2, the second part. Steve, thank you so much for filling in for our favorite New Zealander while he is away and doing a fantastic job breaking this film down with me.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been a while since I've been on your show. I miss you guys. I feel like I've had a lot of Matt Kroll in recent weeks. I've seen you like twice over the last like 7 or 8 days,
It's
which
true.
is unheard of.
I know.
Considering we used to live together.
I know.
It's always a pleasure getting to talk movies with you. One of life's great joys, and I miss it.
Oh,
very
thanks,
much.
buddy. I miss you too. And when we are not getting all super sappy with one another about our shared past of cinematic glory, where can folks find you?
It's a bit harder these days. I used to run the Oscar Watch podcast, which is on a permanent hiatus currently. Unsure if it will ever return, but I will not say never on that.
Never say never.
Yeah, in the meantime, you can listen to all of our backlog of 130-ish films from Academy Award history on Oscar Watch at SoundCloud at OscarWatchPodcast.com or just find us on iTunes. We're still up there. And if you do know where to find me, which is probably in a park somewhere when the weather's nice with my now 2-year-old daughter, come find me. I'd love to discuss movies and things with you for sure. Yeah.
You're just the wise old.
That is not very helpful, but
you're just the wise old sage in Prospect Park. In Brooklyn, yes. Just if
chasing a baby around.
An adorable daughter running around a tall man with glasses who is just talking to the ether about Lord of the Rings trilogy.
Yeah, he thinks he's joking, but he's not joking.
And you can always find me at MatthewKroll.com. That's MattheWKRL.com for my life and works. Also, as I said before, Skeletor, the number 4 PREZ on Instagram, or Emperor MSK on Twitter. Do me a solid, listeners. And if you listen to this and you already aren't following me on Twitter, give me a follow, because I would really appreciate that. I've been slowly, Steve, trying to grow my Twitter base, and it's been working. But I also will equate that to the glorious people who I work with at my day job, being the YouTube channel Extra Credits. Please go check out all of their stuff on youtube.com/extra credits.
It's so good.
Thank you. We are just wrapping up a very excellent series by writer Robert Rath and artist Nick DeWitt on the Irish potato famine. And the story is so interesting, but it's also very dark, and I was worried that the tale would not be enjoyable to learn about due to the fact it's just a fucking tragedy and a cacophony of bullshit, humanitarian error and cruelty. But I will say that through the art, again, shout out to Nick DeWitt, oh my God, it is such a good series, and it's really taking off well. And also, we just, a weird thing happened. We do another series called Extra Mythology, Steve, and I don't know if you've seen this yet. We're doing Native American myths this month, as voted by our patrons. And we did the myth of the Wendigo from a specific tribe.
Ooh, I love the Wendigo.
Steve, in a week, it hit over 1 million views. And the art by Joseph Maslow, again, super tight, and James Portnow wrote that episode. But it's the one that I've showrun and narrated that has had the most views, and it happened in a week. And I was like, I don't know how the internet works.
I don't know. I don't think Same Night has gotten anywhere close to 1/10 of that, all told.
Oh no, Same Night
nonsense.
Yeah, Same Night.
We did not know what we were
was
doing
a different
back
time.
then. But yes, go listen to that. I look forward to you taking on the Black Death at some point. Have you already taken on the Black Death? You should.
The Black Death is around a little bit in some other series. I don't know. We've done the flu pandemic, which is not the Black Death, but if you're looking for another one about disease ravaging the planet, check that one out.
All right. Hey.
Anyway, thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, listeners, for listening. Please review us on iTunes. 5 stars is always the best. Or leave us a comment on the old SoundClouds. Or, use Spotify. Do whatever feels good for you. And with that, we will see you, or you'll hear us. I got to start saying you'll hear us. We're not going to see you unless you send us. I don't know. Just you'll hear us. You'll hear us next week. We'll talk to you then.